The Grow My Cleaning Company podcast helps owners of cleaning companies just like you to grow your company and yourself so you can make more money and finally get the time and money freedom that probably got you into this business. Discover how to automate and create systems that allow you to grow like crazy without losing control. If you dig the show and want to show some love, subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes. It really helps. Enjoy the show. Question: help me define the specific dollar amount for the customer happiness manager. Where's the spreadsheet? What does it say on the spreadsheet? Just don't have to.
It says
spreadsheet, the job description.
The job description has a base salary, and then it says like the base salary is X, and then if we get like X amount of.
Okay, so there's no numbers; it's just base plus.
Yeah, it was just left blank, and we're currently like hiring for that position, and I've already gotten some interest, but I don't know what we should be paying for this position.
So the base salary is going to be based on, because just so you guys know, salary, if you cut it in half, is hourly. So 40 grand a year is $20 an hour, 60 grand a year is $30 an hour, 30 grand a year is $15 an hour. So easy peasy. For me, that's about a $20 an hour task, give or take. So the base is kind of going to be based on $15 to $20 because there's going to be a bonus. So I want them to be making 20, 25 over. So the reason I left it blank is if you've got like residential is very different than commercial. So if you've got your residential and you're doing 150 clients, they're going to all need a lot less handholding, but there's 150 of them. If you're commercial and you've only got 7 clients, they're going to need, it's only 7 clients. What can they do? But they are going to need more attention, or you're going to want to give them more attention than obviously the residential. So about how many clients do you have?
Oh my goodness.
The nearest 10, like
80.
Okay, that's perfect.
90, yeah.
Yeah, just not 200, not 30. 80 is fine.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'd start with the standards that I want. Like for commercial, I would have a standard that I just had for everybody. So it'd be like weekly, get touched quarterly by the customer happiness manager, 2 to 3 times a week, get touched monthly, 4 times a week or above. We are probably every month on site. So the others would just be touched like phone call. 4 times a week and up would be probably monthly on site, monthly phone call, and then like quarterly or twice a year meet with the guy. Like I'd have a standard that was just like based on your frequency, we're going to handle it. For you, are you doing any monthly or is it all weekly or every other week?
We are doing some monthly. Yeah.
Okay. So I'd probably do the monthlies like twice a year. It's not going to give them, and I try and get them as quickly as possible. I keep raising their prices or lowering their cost of goods sold. So it gets to the point where it's like, well, shit, for that price, I might as well just go, it's like, well, it's $300 a month monthly. Or if you go twice a month, maybe it's a 30, 35% cost of goods sold, and you go 45% cost of goods sold for every other week. And, and it takes less time because obviously things aren't as big of a mess. It's like, or it's $450 for, what I'm saying? I'm trying to move it so the financially it's just like, well, that's stupid. It just makes more sense. But
yeah, that's what I've been trying to do, just so that it's a bit more of a motivation to be like, hey, if you spend an extra $100 a month, like we're coming literally twice as often. So yeah, I'm trying to kind of work on them a little bit.
Okay. So I'm just going to assume everyone's every other week because some are monthly and some are weekly, but let's just assume every other week. You got 80 clients. If they all want to be touched somehow once a month, 80 times, I would imagine that's like less than a 5-hour week job, right? Probably an hour for the company party. So let's just say 5 hours, make it $100. So like a $500 base would probably be plenty for a company your size, which is probably higher than it needs to be for a smaller company. 80 clients is a higher base than usual. And then I would just look at what your churn rate was for last year. And if your churn rate goes down because of this person, I would bonus them based on that. Like, I'm not going to give them a bonus to keep it the same. Like, well, that was what was before you. You don't get you have to make it better. But I would pay pretty well if the churn rate went down, because that's a big, if your churn rate went from losing 10% of your clients to 5% of your clients, that would be tens of thousands of dollars of revenue for you. So like, every quarter the churn rates, every percent it's below what it was last time, I'd pay them $1,000 or some pretty generous bonus. And then on commercial, you got to be a little different because churn rate's really hard to measure over a short amount of time. Like annually you could do it, but quarterly is like, we just had a lucky quarter and an unlucky quarter. And the last thing you want to do is bonus somebody on luck, where they're like, I don't really have a stake in this outcome. I'm going to do the best I can, but sometimes people leave and sometimes people don't. When you've got 80 clients and they're residential, you can do churn rate quarterly and get a pretty good picture of what's going on. Monthly's, again, too much luck. You might have a bad month or a good month, but quarterly, I would pay them quarterly, like maybe $1,000 for every % churn they go under, something like that, or at least 500.
And I would assume that when I was kind of typing up the ad, it would never, ever be realistic for an expectation to be that the turnover is 0, because you're just going to have clients that'll leave that have nothing to do with them not doing their job.
Or the salesperson doesn't do their job and they take on a bad client that needs to be fired. No, yeah. 0% is not only unreasonable, unhealthy. Something's wrong. You know how to have 0 churn rate? Have 1 client.
We had really low. I was looking at our numbers from last year and we had an incredibly low turnover, but that was before we started the program. So we had like no turnover because we were so affordable. So I'm trying to figure out like what's a realistic turnover to expect now that we're in your program and we've got a totally different setup.
So 2 things. One is not just that you were underpriced, so people stayed longer. 2, you weren't growing as fast. So if you're not adding clients, your churn is going to be lower. So I would probably then even bonus her to keep it the same. So sorry, if all things were the same in the business, I'm not going to bonus them to stay the same. But if you double your business and revenue and you move from like a super low price option for some people. And again, the cool thing is you're not going to keep moving, right? You should have by now gotten all your kind of low price customers out. They're all the right customers. So I don't think that'll be a big deal. It's more going to be the growth. When you start adding more customers in, it's harder to, you know what I'm saying? Like people are like, oh, I've got perfect reviews. It's like, you've got 7 reviews, get 300 and you'll want 23 bad ones and 270 or whatever good ones. So it's okay we're not looking for perfection. We're looking for scale. So I probably would then pay a bonus with just telling them, hey, that's the standard, or that's the goal, is to keep it the same even as we scale. Before we had no customer happiness manager, but we didn't add as many clients. Now we're adding more clients with you. We're going to pay you to keep the same thing. So I'd still pay a bonus maybe on matching last year's as opposed to decreasing.
Okay.
But that's just for Claire. If your business isn't changing substantially, I would not pay to maintain. But if your growth rate skyrocketed, now I will pay to maintain, because that's obviously a reasonable difference.
Okay.
But again, this is only like a 5-hour week job generally. So the whole compensation, if it's only a couple grand, is not a big deal. We're not looking for a full-time gig here.
Okay. So the base salary would be closer to like 500, and then they could earn like a couple
grand a quarter.
Couple grand a quarter or something like that. Okay.
And again, this is a 5 or 10 hour week job, or, you know what I'm saying? It's not a big time commitment.
Hey, amazing people, you may have noticed we don't sell a dadgum thing on this podcast. We don't allow ads. The only ask I can ever have of you guys is if you dig the show, for you to spread the word and share so we can change as many lives as possible. Literally, it'll take you 5 seconds to give us a great review, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate you as a listener and value the gift of your kind words. Now, back to the show.
Can you remind me? I know that they have to like touch base with clients once per month. They're also responsible for scheduling the quality checks and being present for some of the quality checks.
No, the scheduler should schedule the quality checks.
Okay.
They should review the report, because whether you do it on paper or on an app, there should be some sort of checklist that before they leave, where the cleaner goes, I'm certifying when the client comes home, they're going to feel really good about this. They're going to walk in and be happy. That's the outcome. And then the checklist is just how to do that. The checks are going to have another team that didn't clean it filling out that same form. So their job is to check the checks, right? So they're going to take all the checks that have been scheduled by the scheduler and compare those with the checks that have happened by the person that should be happening, the cleaners, which should happen every time. And they can check some of them or all of them. I wouldn't go none of them. I probably wouldn't go some of them. Mostly the ones where it's a big difference, right? Marie cleaned it and she's like, we did great. And Dawn goes in and goes, this place is a shithole. Well, that's the one I'm going to check. If Marie said they did great and Dawn said they did great, I'm not saying I would never check it, but that's going to be at the bottom of the list. The top of the list is going to be where somebody said something.
Okay.
And the minimum is only every team checking one client per week. They can do more, but that's the minimum. So it's not like there should be 20, 30 checks coming on, every week. There doesn't have to be that many. but I would want to make sure every client got checked quarterly. So those would be my two standards. I'd have to do the math of, okay, every team for the team's benefit has to check another team monthly, or sorry, every week. They need to do whatever their jobs are plus check one, and every place has to be at least every other week. One has to be with the weekly and the biweekly need to be checked at least quarterly. So that's how I would tell the scheduler, those are my standards. Schedule them however you see fit that meets those two standards.
Oh, got it. Okay. So the customer happiness manager would only really get involved or chat with the team if there's like a huge discrepancy.
They would check the checks.
Yeah, check the checks. Okay.
Yeah. And they're generally going to, at the daily meetings, that's where they would give the feedback, and not specifically, Marie, you did a shit job, but if Marie did a shit job, I'm going to talk to her privately. But say I've noticed from the checks, or even if it was just Marie, I'm not going to call her out, but say they've had problems with trash or this or that. Daily meetings, not weekly meetings. God bless it. I'm drunk. I promise I'll stop drinking before noon. So yeah, weekly meetings. God, Don's brand new here and he's still busting my balls. I had that one coming, dude. Yes, weekly meetings. I just got off my daily meeting with my team. So I was in a different, for a specific team. Our main team meetings that we do are weekly, just my enrollment team, they need more. So yes, at the weekly meetings, that's where the customer happiness manager would broadly, even if, there's just a problem with Marie and it wasn't huge, I'm not even going to call Marie out. I'm just going to say it to the whole team and not be like, this was Marie. I'm just say, hey team, we all need to focus on X. If it was something egregious, I'll probably still say, hey team, we need to focus on X. And I might pull Marie aside in private and give her a little encouragement.
So in terms of like the bonus, how the bonus is paid out, would I just kind of like we do with our cleaning crew, where it just gets divvied up, where it's like a certain amount of that is turnover, a certain amount of that is like our positive reviews versus negative reviews, and then a separate amount of that is just like
I'm mostly going to go
providing feedback for our team.
Most of this is going to be churn. Yeah, no, I'm not going to bonus them for providing feedback. That's what they get paid their salary for. So churn is going to be 75% of it. And then I'd probably just do a flat, because you should be getting positive reviews not all the time, but consistently anyway. So yes, I would just pay them a flat. Hey, I called Don and I spoke with him and asked for a review and he gave it. I just give him $50 or $100 or a flat fee there. So that'd be a small amount, but not for every review that came in, just the reviews that they specifically generate. And there'd have to be some sort of trust in there. Like if I thought they were lying and like, that one's mine, that's a fireable issue if they're literally stealing or lying. So there'd have to be a trust enough where they, they're being honest. But yeah, I'd probably pay somewhere between $50 and $100 per that. Like I said, maybe $1,000 per point there at or under your churn for the quarter. Maybe start at 500. You can always go up. And then if for what you're talking about, maybe a $500 base salary. The good thing is, Claire, when you get the right person, the details aren't as important. Like I'm not saying compensation is important, but this isn't like a $70,000, $80,000 a year job. This is like a, $5,000 to $15,000 a year job that they'll be doing 5 or 10 hours a week. So get someone in, tweak it the way you want it. The only kind of big non-negotiables I would take away is pay based on lack of churn. And that would be the focus. Because again, customers can say I'm super happy and leave. I'm like, well, are you? Or they could go, this sucks. I'm like, all right, well, it's part friends. No, I still want the service. Okay, well, maybe it doesn't suck that bad. So I like actions better than words, right? I'd rather, not that I'm giving 0 positives for a positive review. I like that, but churn's a pretty good indicator, right? If you guys all said next level's amazing, I love it, but never didn't stay, I'm like, it's not amazing. You don't love it, right? So I like churn, I think is much better than it's just more feet to the, it's just less subjective than, review's great, but 80% of it should be your job is to make sure people are really happy.
Okay. Got it.
And I would quantify happiness by how long they stay. People vote with their dollars and their feet.
Okay.
Cool. So yeah, don't over complicate it. Just by the fact that you have one and your checks are happening, you're going to be above 90 to 100% of your competition. You're going to be kicking ass. And as long as that, whatever you pay that customer happiness manager, your overall expenses are still 25% or less, it's all fine. So those are kind of the guidelines to make sure you don't get screwed. Or not screwed, but if you color within those lines, you can do whatever you want. You'll be fine. Cool. Did I answer all your questions?
Yeah. Thanks very much. Sorry I had so many, but I'm like in the weeds with all these admin positions and I'm like, I can't interview people if I don't know what I'm talking about. So thanks very much for confirming all of that.
Well, let me just put you to rest a little bit. The things that are non-viable are core values, no matter what they do, if the core values match. Thin sliced, not, a very specific outcome, not, well, I kind of want you to do this and that, and it's not really clear. Just do a bunch of shit that I don't want to do. Like customer happiness manager, pretty clear. Turnover, low turnover, you're doing well. High turnover, you're doing badly. Scheduler, if all the meetings and everything's scheduled, the cleanings, the checking on the cleanings, all the interviews, that's all handled, not have to worry about it, you're doing great. If they're not, you're not doing great. Like super specific, like everyone knows what's going on, and you hire them and you're still at 25% expenses and their core values match. All the other stuff is just me trying to make it a little better for you. But if you're like, that's stupid, I don't want to do it, I want to do it my own way, God bless, don't care. 25% expense, core values match, clear outcome, not fuzzy. Be a social media manager. What the hell does that mean? Like, make, customer service. I don't know what that means. Even customer happiness manager, close, but what is that? What is a happy customer? No more than 4% churn a quarter. Pretty freaking clear. There's like, what else is there to talk about? Like scheduler. Is everything scheduled? Did everyone show up on time and do everything without me having to do anything or not? They did. Great. You did a good job. They did not. You had to come in and I had to call and you had a whole man. You didn't do a good job. Like super specific, hard for them. Sales. You went on this many calls. Did you close 60% or more? Great. Like everything's very clear.
Okay.
Yeah. So those are the inviolable rules that you're like, I got to be strict on. All the other stuff, dance in the middle, do what makes you happy. As long as the core values match, you'll be fine.
Well, here we are at the end of the podcast and you made it. Great job. I've got a little bonus for you for sticking through with me. But like I mentioned before, if you got value out of this podcast and you want to show a little love, subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes, Spotify, wherever the heck you're listening to this thing. Share it with a friend. Share the love. And as a special thank you for those of you that stuck with me to the end, how about I give you my personal phone number so we can text? It's a great way for me to get to know you, your business, your goals personally. So shoot me a text now, 602-932-6431, 602-932-6431. I am the only one who responds to these texts, and I will personally respond to everyone I possibly can as long as this number is manned. Don't know how long we're going to keep this at the end of the podcast, so grab it now, 602-932-6431. Give me a text, say hey, can't wait to meet you.